Book 2, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and today, not only am I going to talk about my recent reads, but I'm also going to talk about the books I brought to my grandma's. I didn't buy any books when I was at my grandma's, but I did do some shopping. I did some clothes shopping, so if you guys don't mind, I'm going to share with the clothes I bought, and I'm also going to share some clothes I bought a couple weeks before we left, because I don't think I showed you guys. Now, I can't do all the, that trick of, where like you show a person, the person films themselves trying on the clothes and they do the voice in the background, or like they do kind of a transition where it looks they magically changed clothes, and so I can't model them for you, but I will do my best because I do want to show them to you. So anyway, so my mom tries to visit my grandma because she's only 3 hours away, so we try to visit her, but I still kind of have to ask off in advance or find a weekend or like a few days where I'm off so I can go with my mom. So it's kind of hard. Unfortunately, it's harder for me to go with her, and then because I need a driver and I need someone to drive me to work, and then they don't want to bug our friends and to give me a lift every time, and then like Uber kind of does not work here as well. I mean, we have it technically, but it's unreliable. So because it's like not a necessity here, so they don't have as many like Uber or Lyft drivers here. So there's no guarantee I'm gonna get it. I mean, we've talked to a couple of the drivers who are very nice and we're like, oh, if we're available. So yeah, oftentimes my dad has to say, because sometimes it's better for my mom to go, but then of course if it's handy work that my dad needs to do around the house for my grandma, then my dad needs to go. So it's harder for me to go visit my grandma, except for on the holidays. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I am available, but just randomly throughout the year. But this time I was able to go, and we actually used that opportunity to go clothes shopping because there's two things I actually needed to go clothes shopping for. I needed rain boots and a new pair of jeans. And so we decided to go to the outlets that's close to my grandma. And the funny thing is, we didn't do the rain boots. We didn't go looking for the rain boots until after we looked for the clothes, which that was the original reason why we went. But so with the rain boots, I needed rain boots because I work at a grocery store. I not only bag, but I also will bring the shopping carts from the parking lot. I'm one of those people. And, if it rains, I need rain boots. So I don't get my shoes on dirty and they end up stinking. My work shoes. So, and unfortunately, the rain can be a little unpredictable here. And I think the rain here is very similar to the rain in Florida. I'm always comparing it with Terry's, how Terry's weather is. And, so sometimes it will rain all day, or sometimes it won't rain right away. It will rain later, or will rain like only in the morning, or rain, towards the end of the workday for me. And like, if it's not hard rain, if it's not thunder and lightning, they want us to go out and bring the shopping carts because customers need them. So it's like, and they do have a rain jacket, or I'll just run upstairs in the break room and grab mine. And I'll, and I'll go out there and bring them in. And unfortunately, that means wearing them for 4 to 6 hours. And like, they're the all rubber ones that were the ones I had all rubber ankle boots. And they were cute. They had a little bumblebee, and everybody always compliments them when they would see me wearing them. But it just got like the rubber part felt like it was rubbing against my toes and my ankles, and it just hurt. Like felt so raw and just hurt my feet. And already, you're on your feet for 4 to 6 hours, so your heel is already sore. And I mean, I'm wearing compression socks, but yeah, I can still feel it. And then, like, it doesn't make the pain and discomfort go away. It just lessens it. And like, so if I don't want it to rub against my legs, the skin on my leg, then I gotta wear pants and knee-high socks. And who wants to wear those during the summertime? And it doesn't look right, the knee-high socks and shorts. But I have to do that sometimes, and it's uncomfortable. So we finally, which I would still have to wear the knee-high socks, I think. But, and I would just roll them down. And it might still wear pants, I don't know. I would have to see how that goes. I would probably have to test that out. Maybe maybe a little rain before it starts to cool off again. But, so we ended up getting these. My mom suggested the best ones are the duck boots. So we ended up getting those. But like I said, we did not get those until after we got the jeans and the clothes. So first we actually went to Old Navy where I needed jeans. So so obviously I am not fat. Far from that. I'm a very skinny person. But I do have a bit of a tummy. So when I wear the mid-rise or low-rise jeans and if I'm wearing a shirt that's a little tighter, then my stomach's going to be sticking out a little bit. And I'm not comfortable with that. It doesn't look right. And like if I lift my arms up like that, then it's going to lift up the shirt. So my mom was telling me how, I need to get high-rise jeans because they started making those again. Which, if you've seen SNL, you see the mom jeans. That's what the high-rise reminds me of a little bit less baggy, but still kind of a similar look to that. So kind of similar to that. So we needed to get me a pair of high-rise jeans, which these. And really, okay, they're really not that bad compared to the mom jeans like on that SNL commercial. But so it's not much. It's jeans, not much to look at, So I needed those, and then I was like, while we're here, why don't I get some more fall attire, some more fall autumn shirts to go with the jeans? So we ended up getting this. I'm really getting into this look where you wear a plaid shirt with a t-shirt under it. So we got this. And then with which I'm gonna have to refold these now. I got a short sleeve shirt, which actually funny. My mom and I sometimes will wear, we might get, sometimes if she likes something that I decide to pick up or something she thought I might like, sometimes she'll get her own version. And I'm not particular, that doesn't bother me that much. Maybe when I was a kid it might have bothered me, but it doesn't bother me when my mom has the same. It would just be like, we just don't wear them on the same day. Sometimes I will, on accident, or sometimes occasionally on purpose, because I don't mind it so much if you're twinsies with your mom. It doesn't bother me as much. And I know it's cheesy and corny, but like I said, I don't care as much. So we bought this. Oh, and I totally forgot. I'm not gonna get up for that, but I also got some brown pants to go with that shirt that can potentially go with that shirt. And I also got one of these, which I have a bunch of these already, these solid shirts from Old Navy. It's just I never thought about the possibility of wearing them maybe with a denim shirt. but or not denim, a plaid shirt to wear it kind of like a jacket, how my grandma referred to it. So so I got these. Oh, you know what? I'll go ahead and get the pants, the other pairs of pants. So these are the other pants I got. They're kind of like cargo pants, I think. They'd be considered like cargo pants, and I can wear those with that beige shirt. So, and then actually along with the rain boots, I got which I took that out. And then actually there was a sale where we got the shoes, the rain boots, there was a sale. You buy 2 pair, you get 70% off, something like that. So we ended up getting those along with these, which I thought were cute. You could just slip them on instead of having to tie them. Which I think the rain boots are the same way as well. So I thought these are cute. And I was able to get rid of some shoes. I was able to get rid of some shoes as well. So that's what I got for this trip. And I figured, oh, and one more thing I got from Old Navy. I really wish I could do, like, show you guys, put them on, show you guys. I ended up getting this kind of sweatsuit kind of outfit, like this hoodie was cute, and with matching pants, which I used to not like wearing sweatsuits, but I thought this looked really nice. Although it didn't have as much of a selection as far as color. So that was a little disappointing. Like, I didn't have any, and this to me was the best color. And granted, I already liked it to begin with. This dusky color, so I got that. And it's just so frustrating because I want to wear this stuff like now, but it's still like in the 80s and 90s here. And it's going to get to the 90s later this coming week. So it's like, why? Go down, Orange. Just go down. Like, get a little cooler. And it's just very frustrating. So let me go show you what I got before this trip. Before I should talk about, the books. So I also got, before this trip, and actually I did get a cute, like, running outfit too for recently, but I don't have it. I already wore it, so it's in the laundry right now, so I don't have it, but it's like kind of the chocolate milk cow design, that kind of brown, cute little running up and no sleeves, so it's good for between spring, autumn kind of running outfit. But I also got a sweatshirt to wear over it. It's kind of a gold yellow color. We got that from Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm always looking for a different, because I have a lot of black running pants, or like the stretchy pants. So I'm trying to always get other color pants. And that one was just a whole matching outfit. So, and like I said, the sweatshirt, the hoodie, whatever, it matched the color. So I thought I got that. And then I've always wanted jeans that were colors other than khaki and black and blue. So, and I used to have some purple ones years ago. I was like middle school age. But then we got rid of them at some point. So my mom knows I like olive, so she spotted these and showed these to me, these olive green jeans, which I really liked. Although they kind of blend in with my dark brown jeans that I have. Not the ones I just bought, but another pair. And then to match, I got these shirts. So, and all this stuff was from TJ Maxx. So I got this for a nice, more casual, nice wear, like going out to dinner or something, or like going out somewhere. And then this is more casual, hanging out. And oh, I didn't realize this was a Life is Good shirt. I've been seeing that. I see that brand all the time. And it has falling. Oh, it's falling in love. Did not realize that. But I thought that was cute. It has a hood, and like I said, I like I'm a big fan of the color, the olive color. I noticed my family, we seem to like, autumnal colors in this house, except for we also like blue too in this house. Between myself, my mom, and my sister, we also like blue too, but like I like dark red, like maroon color, and then I like that purple color, certain shades of purple and certain shades of green, and yellow too. Like I like mustard yellow. So yep. So there are all these. Okay, so now let's talk about the real reason why you guys probably are watching this video, and that's books. So while I was there, I ended up bringing quite a few. Like I said, I have let's see, how many do I have? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, that one didn't come. I didn't bring that one. So I think I brought 5 with me. Yeah, 5 books. 5 books with me. So I recently was reminded how this particular book is good for the autumn time in the spooky season, because it kind of has a gothic feel, and that is Kate Morton's The Distant Hours, which I have been meaning to reread. I've been meaning to reread all of her books, and the original plan was to reread them before I read The Clockmaker's Daughter, but I never got around to doing that. So I was like, okay, what the heck? Let me just read The Clockmaker's Daughter, and then I'll reread all her books. And I would like to try to reread at least a couple of them before the new book comes out, because I know she's already working on a new one, or it's going to be published soon. I don't know what it's called, but she's probably one of the few auto-buy authors, because she just writes stories that I always end up liking. But this is about a young woman who, her mom receives a letter from this family that during World War II, she had stayed with them for a period of time, because, during World War II, parents would send their kids away to live with people that weren't gonna, like they did that in the first Narnia book, or the second book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, whichever number that book is. The mom send them to live with the professor during World War II. So, it's the same idea, and so she ends up, and I think the mom had died, if I remember correctly. I think the mom had died. Or maybe not. It's been a while since I read this. And, something happened, and so she goes to that castle where her mom had stayed and lived with them for a period of time. And it turns out it's this group of elderly sisters, and their dad was known for writing this book called The Mud Man, which was I think, horror fairy tale type book. He got very successful and made him very famous. And one of the sisters is not exactly, has mental health issues, and their dad made sure that they would stay with her and not leave their younger sister and take care of her. So it's kind of a gothic horror and gothic story, with, I think there's a little bit of romance, if I remember correctly. And anyway, so I picked it up. Well, I meant to, like I said, I have been meaning to reread them, her books. So I had picked this up last spring, I believe, or last spring. I had picked that one up along with The Forgotten Garden, and I started reading them, and then I put them both down, both of them down. And I meant to pick them up again at some point, at least one of them, and I kept, So finally, after watching, I cannot remember which booktuber it was, like maybe someone like Darling Desi or someone, talked about how this book, like I said, is perfect for this time of year. So I figured, let me just bring this with me and start reading this one. Of course, I only read I only got to part 2, so I didn't read much of this book. And it was at the part when we're with the sisters, and we're not back in, we're with the three sisters, and the younger one who has the mental health issues, there's rumors going around about her that she is become engaged, and of course that's out of the question. This guy will not know how to handle their sister, and so they're like, no, she cannot do this. So they're very worried about this. And then the middle sister, she wants to leave home and go to the States. And this takes place in England. And she wants to leave and become a governess to a girl to a girl whose family is going to the States, I think, or they live in the States. But it's like, can she leave? Will she be able to get away with leaving and leaving her sister, her older sister? And that's the last thing I read. And I don't even remember the other part. I feel like I should probably reread it, but her Kane Warren's book are pretty chunky books, so I just decided to pick up where I left off. And once I start reading it, once I continue reading it, will all come back to me slowly. But I want to make sure I don't do that again with any of her other books. But yeah, so I didn't get very far in this one because it wasn't really my priority. I was kind of in the mood for the spooky stuff more, because I figure September will be my spooky month, spooky and dark academia month, because I'm doing Victober as always. Although I have been thinking about picking up other books that aren't Victorian literature related, depending on how much I get read this month. But I would still read a couple of Victorian literature. So there's okay. And then before I talk about that one, let's look at this one. So this was an author, this is a classic horror author. He inspires a lot of writers, screenwriters, and novelists that write horror. And I had got a hardback collection, one of those Barnes & Noble hardback books with a bunch of his stories in it, but I had not picked it up yet. I keep attempting to pick it up, but it's just, I can't take that huge hardback anthology with me to places, and it's just, I don't get motivated when it's in that kind of copy of a book, so I decided I wanted to get a paperback, not mass market. I don't like mass markets, but I'm trying to get a paperback copy. So I ended up getting this one when at the time when my mom was picking me up from work. She had to go to Aldi's, and she knows I'm not the biggest fan of grocery shopping. Although, we were talking about I probably should learn to, especially if it's my stuff that, because I live at home. So she's like, maybe you should come with me this time, and which I think, yeah, because I'm in my 30s, and it's always so, I shouldn't really, I should have to do that stuff on my own. But anyway, she was, offered to take me to BAM, and I only had a little bit of money, enough to buy at least one book. So I ended up, getting this one. And I decided I may as well get the Penguin Deluxe Edition, and it's a collection of H.P. Lovecraft, The Call of Cthulhu, and other weird stories. So I read the first 4, I think. Let me look. The first 5. And the first one, Dagon, is one I remember That's one of the ones I actually did remember vaguely from the audiobook with the 7 stories. Which that audiobook was a bit disappointing because of the narrator was kind of boring and dull sounding. Like I kind of ended up tuning it out. So I think it helps I can read it and look at the words myself and read the words myself of the stories. But I read, there's Dagon was the first one. Then there was the Statement of Randolph Carter, facts concerning the late Arthur Germain and his family, Celiphas, and Narya La Thotep. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But so far I liked Dagon was kind of cool. The Statement of Randolph Carter was kind of creepy, and it helped that it took place mostly in a cemetery. And then facts concerning the late Arthur Germain and his family, I really liked that one. The other two I just thought were okay. I mean, so it's kind of hard for me I have very mixed feelings on short story collections sometimes, because of course you're not gonna like all of them, and also oftentimes I have a feeling of like I'm being dropped in the middle of a story from a longer story when I read a short story. Not always though, but oftentimes. Or it feels like it doesn't really have a story. It's more just telling you about something, but it doesn't feel like it has an actual narrative or plot and stuff. Like some of the short stories don't. But yeah, I figured why don't I go ahead? I feel like I should read because he's a classic, I know that there are things about him that people don't like and take issue with. Like he is considered he's seen as very racist. So I mean, of course, if you don't want to read, you obviously don't have to. If you're not comfortable with him as a person. But I want to read them because they are the classics, and they are part of the classics collection of classics, and a lot of people he inspired a lot of writers. That and I thought it would be a good way to start to go beyond like Stephen King, or because I feel like I still, because I read Joe Hill, yeah, it's not Stephen King, but Joe Hill is his son, so I feel like that's not entirely straying too far from King. So I've been trying to try other authors, including, and I figured why not start with the classics. And I do like his writing. I like his writing style anyway. So I read some of those as well. And then a lot of my focus, before I talk about that one, a lot of my focus was back to the historian. I am still really loving it, and like I was looking at some of the section on the Goodreads page for the book where it has a question, and some people, and I understand if you're bored with this book, you just don't like it, that's fine. But then it really, I was reading through those, and I probably should not have, where it was like, oh, this is not literature, and like people were really like disappointed, which is fine, but some of the things that they said, like I said, some people were saying, oh, this is not literature, and it's like, part of me wants to know why you feel that way, because I don't feel that way, and like everyone's entitled, everyone has different opinions, different tastes, but I kind of also, I'm curious, part of me is morbidly curious what your reason why it's not, but then at the same time I probably don't want to know. Because I like this. I love the writing. I like how we're mixing history with fantasy, with the whole myth of Dracula mixed with the actual history of the Middle Eastern countries, these Eastern Europe countries, just really taking a deep dive. And, you know, and I'm one of those people who really, I think you know, I'm one of those people who enjoys dark academia books and the deep dive and just watching someone, a normal person, an academic that's not like a cop or something, and doing investigations and trying to piece all together and do the research. And then they go to all these different Eastern European countries like Turkey and Istanbul, Romania, and really take a deep dive about the history of these countries. And kind of mix, like, and I'm a big fan of stories that mix history with, you know, history with fiction. I find that always so fun and fascinating. It's kind of fun to speculate, okay, which stuff is actually true and which is you know, which is fiction. It's always interesting to speculate. And we don't know. I mean, we weren't alive then, so who knows, you know? I mean, maybe things that we're told aren't true, what maybe they were, and people were just good at hiding it. And I've always been intrigued by the whole Dracula myth and everything, like a lot of people are. And in fact, I did a newspaper article in my high school newspaper during October one year where we talked, you know, like where I talked about the myth, comparing it to the actual history. And I feel that's one of the few articles on my high school newspaper that I actually felt very proud of. That went along with the review of King Kong, the 2005 movie. So this was really fun, and this was one that I meant to read last year because I was trying to do a Dracula themed readathon, or like read some Dracula related books while doing Victober at the same time. And then I also was like, oh, actually, I want to do dark academia too. So this would be a combination of all three of them, you know. This would be a combination of that, and I never got around to it. So I'm trying to read it now, but I still got a while to go. Let's see, where am I? Like, let's see. So still got a good chunk. It looks like I'm kind of on the halfway point. I think maybe a little over the halfway point, but it's just so engaging and fun. And yes, it is slow. Not, you know, it's very subtle. It's not straight up horror. It's more historical with, you know, a sense of anticipation, a sense of, is someone watching them? And then occasionally there's someone who attacks them, and there's a hint of vampires, and, you know, people are becoming vampires, but it's a little more subtle and less, like, action-packed. I think this would be, and I do think this would be a great TV series. I could see you could really expand it into a TV series, like what they did with the Discovery of Witches. I think that would be really fun to watch. And I guess they'll put it on AMC, I don't know. But yeah, it makes me think of a Discovery of Witches, which I've been meaning to do. That's one of the books I might still read in October. But, yeah, I'm enjoying this, and I don't get why people don't like it. I think it's fun. Yes, it's slow at times, but, you know, and it does depend on your taste. But I'm really enjoying it. This particular book was one of those situations where originally I was going to bring a Discovery Witches with me to my grandma's, but then I was reminded by Jennifer Brooks that this is a good book to pick up around this time. And this was one of those situations where I had read it years ago, but then I kind of cheated and let myself get spoiled for the end, like read the last page, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And it was taking me a long time to read, because this length of book, still today, it takes me a long time to read. But this time I know what to expect, and I know at the time I did like this author's, I really enjoy this author's writing style and the deep dive that she goes into the history she creates. And that's Anne Rice and The Witching Hour. It's a trilogy, which I hope I can get access to books, 2 and 3. But, and this is basically about the Mayfair witches. They're a family of witches who live in New Orleans, and they've been around for centuries. And they have been haunted by this this devil-like figure who constantly follows them, and he will pick one of them. He'll attach himself to one of the witches, and they're the only ones who sees him, and he's like the devil, and they're whispering to them and making them do things. And the latest heir in the family, Rowan, she is a doctor, surgeon living in San Francisco, and she's been kept away from this guy, but now she might be being drawn back to their home in New Orleans. And she ends up saving this guy, this young man named Michael, or he's not that young when she saves his life. And he's an Irish boy, and he's also Catholic. And she ends up saving his life when he falls into the San Francisco Bay. And he ends up, after having this near-death experience, he ends up having this gift to where he can touch things and see where they've been, what people, what people have done with the objects, how they use them. It's like visions. And I think it's called a touch know. These people who can, if you've seen Stephen King's Rose Red, it's the same gift that Pam has. And, what I love about Anne Rice is, even though her books are super long and have a lot of detail, I like all that detail. It just is a big commitment. I like it, but, I gotta commit to it. And she really dives deep. And there's this group that keeps an eye on the Mayfair witches and researches them. And knows all this information. They're the Talamasca, I think they're called, and they're headed. One of their main players is this guy named Aaron Leitner, and he keeps an eye on people like Michael who get mixed up with this family, and he brings them into the fold. And there's this whole part where Michael's reading this whole history on this family, so we kind of go back to the past. And I think this is another perfect opportunity for them to make this a series. But I think they're not doing this one. They're actually doing the Vampire Chronicles as a TV series. I don't know what's going on with that, and I did tell Terry about that. So, because they already made a movie anyway, so of course they're gonna it makes the most sense for them to do a TV series. But I think they should do this one too, or at least if the Vampire Chronicles series is a success, maybe do this one. I mean, maybe the only reason why they're not doing this one and probably focusing on her vampire books is not only are they a lot more popular than this, but also, Discovery Witches is still going on. So maybe they're like, oh, let's wait a little bit for that show to maybe be close to the end of that show or whenever, and just, since that's also about witches and vampires, and just focus on the Vampire Chronicles first. If they're ever, granted, I don't know if they're thinking about it, but I'm really glad the Vampire Chronicles, because I'm really glad they're doing it, because I know there are some authors who don't want Hollywood to touch their books, which is totally understandable, because Hollywood has a bad habit of just ruining adaptations, or the adaptations are just decent, they're not great, and then people, it causes a lot of drama and stuff, and so I can understand why an author doesn't want to, sell their rights to movie people, because it's a risky business, But I always want to see an adaptation, because I want to see actors play the characters, and I want to see them bring the story to the screen. I'm always excited about that. I know that some authors like Robin Hobb said, "Oh, you use your imagination." That's why I don't want, because I want you to use your imagination and picture it in your own mind, and not just let some Hollywood image, be the thing that you see whenever you read my book. And there's probably more to it than that, but I'm sorry, I just can't help it. I like seeing adaptations, and maybe that's because I kind of grew up watching movies and watching shows just as much as I did reading, and sometimes that was priority first, number one for me. But this is one I would love to see So what all I really read from this is that we get the whole, we get Michael's history and how he loves movies, and he also is he likes building things, and, his two previous relationships just did not work out. And there's this whole, one of his relations that got torn apart because of an issue that a lot of people can relate today, especially women. The issue of one of his girlfriends ends up getting pregnant with his child, and that causes a rift between them because there are different responses to that, and to the whole children and having kids and everything, and how she gets pregnant out of wedlock, and they have very different responses how to deal with that. And then we also get Rowan's mom, Deidre's, we get a little bit more of her history, and there was a particular priest that tried to help Deidre when she was little, and he didn't believe in the man, the creepy man who always overshadowed them. He didn't believe in it, and he didn't like how Deidre's aunts were telling her, basically telling her that you need to stay, and this guy's a man, don't interact with him, he's the devil in disguise and all that. And the priest doesn't like that because he doesn't believe, and he thinks that's not a good thing to do, to traumatize a kid like that. Which, yeah, this girl, Deidre, is terrified, but the difference is that it's real, and her family is trying to protect her from this guy, this shadowy figure. So it's like, it's both sides. Their approach was, they didn't do a good job. So I don't know what's gonna happen to Rowan, but I'm worried for her. Like I said, I kind of got spoiled for it years ago, but I mean, I barely remember. I have a basic idea. I know what happens to her, but I'm not entirely sure. If I'm remembering correctly. So I gotta try to avoid looking again this time. But yeah, I love Anne. I do enjoy Anne Rice. It's just sometimes her books are very dark, and but I'm in the right mood, so I need to read it, start deep diving into it soon. Get back into it. So, last but not least, I started reading Perfume. So this is about a guy who, when he was born, this young man, Jean Baptiste, and when he was born to a prostitute, and his mom did not want him and tried to kill him when he was born, but then she gets caught by the police, and so they take the baby away from her. Actually, no, I think she killed herself first. She ended up killing herself or something. Either way, they took the baby away from her, and Ray sent him to had the baby raised by nuns. And one of the nun that takes in the baby and gives him milk and stuff, she realized he does not smell. He has no scent to him. But it turns out he has a really good sense of smell himself. He doesn't smell, but he can smell everything. And he as an adult, he just has a strong, like I said, he has the strong gift of sense of smell, and he wants to be a perfumer. So he can use his gift. And he's basically in search of the perfect scent, in which results in him potentially murdering people just to get it. It's very good, and the way Patrick Susskind just talks about all these different scents and really describing them, and how he feels, how Jean feels about it, and how he really inhales these scents, and how powerful they are, and how important the sense of smell is. And I feel like, and again, this was one of those books where I was looking at the questions on Goodreads, and someone asked, am I the only one who thinks this guy's a genius and wish he didn't murder anyone? And it's like, a lot of people were responding with, well, yes, he is a genius, but he committed murder. So that kind of takes away the likability factor. And it's really interesting. It puts you in a really uncomfortable, it's putting you in this really uncomfortable position because, you feel bad for the guy and you think, and he does come off as a genius because he's so good with, creating these scents. He's like a mad scientist type. But he also is going to, commit murder. And he's already committed his first murder, which really was surprising it already happened. But, and it's just, so, those people are always so fascinating to read about, those people that are completely insane and do some immoral things. But then there's also, they can be charming, they can be highly intelligent, and almost a genius, and you almost admire them. It kind of reminds me of, my mom had watched that famous woman who committed, I think it was credit card fraud, and, convinced all these people that she was rich. But then, it turns out she wasn't. It was all an act. It was all a big con that she was, and where part of you thinks that, wow, I cannot believe she did that. She was such a genius that she was able to get away with that and really make people believe that she had the money. And then at the same time, that's immoral, and that's like that, and it's just, and I personally, when I was hearing about it, I felt bad for those people that she took the money from and manipulated, but then, at the same time, those people weren't hurting for money, and they weren't poor necessarily, so it's like, but it's kind of the same. So this guy makes me more uncomfortable than she does, because he's talking about killing people. And he doesn't really know right from wrong, and he has a childlikeness to it. Like, he never grew up, and another comparison is the assistant to Charlie Manx in Nosferatu, where he just never grew up mentally, and he's completely nuts, and is willing to kill people, and, and do horrible things to the parents of the kids that Charlie kidnaps. He has no moral compass whatsoever, and I feel like this guy, Jean, is the same way. Jean-Baptiste Grenouille. I don't know the French pronunciation of this guy's name. I feel like he has no moral compass either. So these are always so interesting and just make you so uncomfortable. And it's very disturbing. So this is another one of those books where the chapters aren't that long. Although chapter 15, I think it was a little longer than the others. But it's another one of those books where it's not that, the chapters are not that long. And it's such a simple story, but so it really makes you think. And just really disturbs you. Like I said, it's the guy's time, so I definitely think this is perfect for this time of year. But yeah, it's great. It's so far it's really good and very engaging. Like I said, I really like the writing, and I really like how the authors are really taking a deep dive into describing all the scents, even the stinky scents, like the sewage system, or things that are rotting. I think, he describes every scent is important to this young man. Every scent he values, while a lot of us take advantage of those scents. So there's that. And then I decided to go in and read a couple stories from this collection, the selected works of Edgar Allan Poe. And I don't know what motivated me to do that. It reminded me I need to pick it up, but so I've read only 2 stories so far out of, one, picking it up again, because all of I've read more than 2 obviously since I first bought it. So I've read MS in a Bottle, The Assassination, Bernice, The Unparalleled Adventures of One Hans Pfaall, Ligeia, William Wilson, The Fall of the House of Usher, which I need to reread that one because that's one of the ones that's supposed to be like really good and creepy and stuff. But at the time when I first read it, it felt like a bit of a letdown. But maybe I need to read it again, especially because there is a recently a book came out that or is coming out that is a retelling of the House of Usher. And then The Descent of the Maelstrom. That one I read. That one was pretty good. Although again, at the same time though, that was one of the ones where I felt like I was being dropped in the middle of the story. And then the one I just finished, which is a really long one, is the Murders in the Rue Morgue. And funnily enough, I didn't mean for this to happen. This was not one of the times where I was actually looking for spoilers. But I was watching Grace from Beyond the Trailers review of another movie, and her spoiler review, which I knew in that case I knew she was going to spoil the movie because I wanted to, because I didn't know if I would ever get a chance to watch the movie, and just maybe wait until it comes on TV. But so I let myself get spoiled, but I didn't realize that she was also going to spoil me for a short story in this collection, and so it was like, it totally caught me off guard. I didn't get a chance to really like fast forward a little bit, so I was like, dang it, I didn't know you would spoil that for me. So yeah, I did. It was still a fun read. And like I said, I finally got to meet the character that was that people often compare to Sherlock Holmes. And yes, he does feel very similar, although he comes off a little nicer. A little more kinder. Well, Sherlock Holmes is kind of a jerk sometimes and very condescending to everybody else because they're not as smart as he is. Which, yeah, he is highly intelligent and is really good at, deductive reasoning. And maybe he is the smartest person in the room, but he can be kind of insensitive to people. While this guy, Dupin or Dupont, I don't know how to say it. He just seemed a little nicer. But it was a very similar, and it reminded me of a Sherlock Holmes story where like he has this assistant who's smart but not as smart and doesn't notice things and is like, just goes with whatever the populace says. But then, so they read about this case in the newspaper, and then they go to check it out because Dupin is not so sure about it. He doesn't know if he believes the French police. So they go to investigate, and he looks around, observes everything, and then they come back and they talk about it, and he asks, "What do you think?" to his friend, whose name I do not remember. So it follows the same formula to some of Sherlock Holmes stories, and which I don't know what came first, Sherlock Holmes stories, the Sherlock Holmes story, or this one. But they've been compared to, and so it follows the same formula, and but the story itself and the end result of what happened is very different than a Sherlock Holmes story. And that's the thing I got spoiled for without meaning to, is how it turns out who committed the crime or who committed the murder. And I don't want to tell you what movie she was reviewing because then it might give it away you're one of the few people, if you have not read that short story. And it does apparently have a sequel. Like this next one, The Mystery of Marie Roget, is supposed to be a sequel to The Murders in the Rue Morgue. But it's sad because it's one of the ones I had not read. I did not read in school, so it's kind of disappointing that I end up knowing what goes on, what the end result is of the story. Not that, although granted, books don't scare me. Like, reading something doesn't scare me. What scares me more is if I get, see a movie or watch a show version, then that will scare me more. That will traumatize me more. So that was kind of long anyway, so I ended up only reading that one today. I'm going to pick up the story in and continue reading a few more chapters of Perfume before dinner. And although I'm meaning to watch Jennifer Brooks' Victober TBR video, so I'm gonna watch that. And then, so I might not get any reading done until after dinner. But the good news is I'm not working until tomorrow. I'm not working it until Tuesday, so I'm off tomorrow. So I don't have to worry about, like, because I always, like, you know, I always have trouble finding the balance and time management with with the activities I want to do. And it's not like I do anything that's like time, you know, where like that will take up, like, it's hard to find balance between reading and watching TV and then watching videos on YouTube and stuff, and then while at the same time doing the activities where my mom, my parents are like, do you want to come with us, or we gotta eat dinner or something. It's just, I'm not good with finding the balance between all that stuff and trying to time it. And then last night I ended up staying up until midnight because I was watching the last thing I watched was Grace's review, Beyond the Trailer review of the movie, of that particular movie. And before that I watched the Found Flicks, where he ending explained video on the same movie. So I was like, well, let me see what Grace from Beyond the Trailer thinks of it too. And like I said, I already got spoiled from the Found Flicks video, and I didn't mind because I don't know if I'm gonna get to the movie. And it just makes me, even though I got spoiled for what's gonna happen, I still am excited to watch it, and I want to get the visuals, like, and the same thing with Summer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The movie with I can't remember her name. The actress, she plays Scarlett Johansson's sister in she plays Amy. The actress plays Amy in the Little Women 2019 version, and she plays Scarlett Johansson's sister in Black Widow, like the Black Widow movie. I can't think of her name. And then she's doing a new movie called like something Darling. Like Everything's Alright Darling or something. The movie with Chris Pine and Harry Styles. I'm trying to think of who else. I don't know who else. Olivia Wilde is in it too. Which that one looked good too. But anyway, I cannot think of the actress's name. But she's in Summer. It's like her and her boyfriend and his friends go to a place in Sweden that there's somewhere this thing they do every summer. Like there's a ritual and everything, and it has a lot of body horror in it. And it's what makes it even more creepy is it takes place during the daytime, because a lot of horror takes place at night, but this one is actually during the daytime. Most scenes, so it makes it even more creepy. And it kind of has a bit of a cult feel to it as well. And I saw Found Flicks talking about the movie and stuff, and I think I watched Grace's review on Beyond the Trailer, so I know what happens, but I want to actually see the visuals, because of course there are things in there they can't show on TV. Or they can show on TV if it's like HBO or something, but they cannot show on, for copyright, and also because it's just too disturbing to show on those YouTube websites. So, yeah, that's another one of those ones I got spoiled for, and I still want it, but I want to watch it because I want to actually physically be able to see it. And those kinds of visuals, they don't bother me if there's a separation between me and, if I'm physically in the presence of what's going on the screen, where it's that kind of horror, then yeah, I'm not gonna, like, if I was actually in a room with that kind of situation, that would traumatize me. But because it's a movie, there's a sense of separation. But anyway, so that is what I'm reading, and I hope you guys also enjoyed the little clothing haul I showed you. I hope you guys appreciate that, and I will do another Are You Afraid of the Dark review soon. Maybe I'll film that tomorrow. I don't know yet, but I do have another series of days off coming up. as well. So unless that changes, because my schedule can change sometimes. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video, and if you do, please give a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you haven't and you are interested in my channel. And I hope you're enjoying your reading. And I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.